Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studio in Cumming, Georgia, it's time for Forsyth Business Radio.
And hello again, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Forsyth Business Radio. I am your host, Amanda Pierce, joined in studio today by two community leaders. I am joined by Brock Evans, who is the Vice President of USI for Property and Casualty, and also Mr. Jeff Butterworth, who is the Georgia Power Area Manager. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
In unison. I like it. Well, we were having a lot of fun before the show chatting, and I was learning a little bit about you fellas. For our listeners who might be unfamiliar with your companies or what you do within the community, I'm going to give you a chance to kind of elaborate on that, and we will start with you, Brock.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for having me. So, Brock Evans with USI, as you mentioned. We are an insurance brokerage and consulting firm. We've got over 200 offices across the country, 9,000 employees, over 500,000 clients, but we are local as well. So we have a national presence, but we do have a local office. In fact, a lot of our employees live up this way, myself included. So happy to be here.
And elaborate a little bit about property and casualty, because as I mentioned before, I've heard of USI, but just strictly on the benefits side. So maybe specify exactly what that is.
Sure. So I know insurance is everybody's favorite topic, so please stay tuned. We'll make it exciting. This is your property and casualty is general liability, workers' comp, anything to do with property, anything to do with a business insurance, really. We don't. We do employee benefits, but that's a different division. So my focus is property and casualty, and I work with a lot of contractors and real estate firms. That's kind of my focus in the office.
Very nice, and that was going to be my next question. Who's your target market? I see some recognizable logos here on the collateral that you brought for your client list. And ironically, I used to work with the Absalon Hotel Group.
No kidding.
So on the south side of Atlanta in Peachtree City, where I was from, I worked for two of their hotels, and now they just they have a Norcross property, which is relatively new to their portfolio, the Crown Plaza.
That's right. Great. Did you drive a golf cart there since you're in Peachtree City?
I drove a golf cart to high school. It was great.
That's incredible.
Yes. And then also Brock Built Homes. So you guys have some pretty large names within your client list.
That's right. I wish I could say that was mine, but somebody else works on it. They're a USI client, though.
You still have the bragging rights.
That's right.
That's a part of that.
Hey, that's my name. There's not a lot of Brocks out there.
Right. Well, we're going to let Jeff tell us a little bit about his role within Georgia Power really quickly, and then we'll kind of talk about some other things. So, Jeff, share with our listeners a little bit about what you do with Georgia Power.
Yeah, thank you. So I think most folks listening probably know who Georgia Power is. I mean, we're certainly honored to serve 2.7 million customers across the state and here in Forsyth County. But my role is to be the area manager here in Forsyth and also in Cherokee County. And generally, that just means that I'm the lead manager for all things Georgia Power, internally and externally across Forsyth and Cherokee counties.
Well, you and I were having an interesting conversation before the show, and you're kind of helping me understand how people select their company, or furthermore, how they are unable to select it if they live within a certain area. For those who might be unfamiliar with how power gets to their home or their office, expand on that for us.
Oh, wow. You went into not only how customers get to select, but also how it gets there. So that's getting technical.
Well, you were telling me about laying lines earlier, and that was really interesting, and having to tap into different... It's not my expertise. You go ahead.
Not expected to be, right? So, this is our business. Just to hit the technical side, you got a generation source, typically a plant, sometimes nowadays solar and other renewable sources, but that's flowing through some lines to a substation to the lines that go to your house. And so we could get into a lot of technical parts of that, but in terms of selecting your utility provider, that's actually governed by a territorial act that lays out the lines of who serves what. And unless you're a very large load, say the size of use anyway, of maybe a super Walmart or something like that, those customers get a choice, and the various utility providers compete for it. But for generally, as we're sitting here, say residential customers, you're going to get the utility that serves where you're actually located based on predefined lines that are through a territorial act.
Very cool. And you know why I asked you that, right? So Brock doesn't know, and I don't know if our listeners do, but you have about a 25-year career with Georgia Power, and you started as a field meter reader. Take us through that journey, the ascension of the ranks, and obviously your tenure. It's a worthwhile company because you've been with them for so long.
Yeah, it's a great company, and it's been very good to me. So in February of 1998, my wife and I were pretty young, married, and made a combined $15 an hour at the time. And I needed a better job, so I had a friend that was a meter reader at Georgia Power in Alpharetta, and I found out about the job, and he was making a good bit more than I was, obviously, at the time, and working a lot of overtime, which was adding to his income, had great benefits, et cetera. And so I found myself at Georgia Power as a meter reader. Very, very difficult job, walking miles and miles and miles every day in the worst possible weather conditions you can imagine. Didn't think I would make it through my first month, but I did. And I've just worked hard and met a lot of great people along the way, and moved my family a couple of times and changed jobs. I think this is my 11th job in the company, and went back and got my bachelor's and MBA along the way. And so here I am 24 and a half years later, and my role is now area manager for these two counties.
That's exciting. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. It's been fun. I mean, it's been a great career. I, never would have foresaw this, when I was whatever age I was in 1998. But I can't believe I've been here this long already, and I'm certainly not looking to go anywhere else.
Right.
I was going to say, you look like you must have started when you were 10. If you've have a 25-year career, my gosh.
Well, when we get to talking about maybe hobbies or something like that, I can tell you I had to start taking better care of myself a number of years ago, and so I'm quite a bit lighter than I used to be physically, and it keeps you young looking.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to parlay over to you, Brock, and I want to ask you kind of how you got into USI. You're obviously a very passionate and people-oriented person, so serving the community through USI, I'm sure, is something that comes naturally to you. But why USI? There's so many benefit providers out there.
You're right. There are a lot of great brokers out there, no question. I was on the carrier side before, so I was actually working with brokers, and USI was always one that I really enjoyed working with. I had a lot of friends there. But what really drew me to USI specifically is just the team aspect. So we're kind of set up where we're 10 regions and we all share like proprietary information. So I can say, okay, if you're a roofer, we have 100 roofers across these territories, and I know kind of what the rates should look like, and we all collaborate together. So someone from, Minnesota might say, hey, you really need to look out for this exclusion or this form. And so, I liked it because they weren't just getting me or even my regional team, but they get the whole breadth of brain trust across the entire company, which probably a bigger word than I should be using, but
I'm writing it down so I can use it again.
But that's kind of how we describe it. So to me, that was really enticing. And I just liked how they were set up. There was an opportunity for newer producers like me who had not really actually been in a sales role before. I was on the carrier side and managed a team. So it was just really the right fit, and I've absolutely loved it. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but I'll be the first to tell you there are other great brokers out there. There's a lot of great competition both locally and nationally, but I think we are a little bit different, and I certainly am proud to be there.
And he brought all kinds of USI tchotchkes. For those of you who can't see, hopefully you'll see them in some of the photos. But we've got some koozies and some chargers and all kinds of fun stuff. So we definitely like the swag. Is that bug spray or hand sanitizer?
This is hand sanitizer. So figure we're still in that stage.
Jeremy stage.
Or if you're going to networking events or things like that, maybe do a little hand sanitizer afterwards.
A little spritz. Does it smell like tequila?
I don't think so.
Because when they ran out of whatever, the hand sanitizer largely started smelling like vodka and tequila.
Yeah, I feel like that's a waste of potentially, but
or it's a perfect example of how the distilleries pivoted and started, producing something that was able to provide another purpose.
Just like breweries doing canned water, and things like that instead of just beer. So,
have you ever had canned water?
Liquid Death is pretty good.
It's so weird to me to drink the water out of a can. I guess I'm accustomed to something effervescent coming out of a can. So when I take that sip, it's just like weird.
I had never seen the liquid death thing until I went to a concert recently at Ameris
Chastain.
Amphitheater.
Yep.
And I saw people with liquid death, and I thought, man, what in the heck are they drinking? I didn't know if it was like, a monster, drink on steroids or like some, 50% alcohol drink or what. Found out it was water. I was like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Cool name.
It really is, and it's great branding. I think the death portion is to plastic, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
that's what it kind of
nice.
represents.
Yeah.
But I do like it when I'm out, but at home or at the office, tap water is fine for me.
Absolutely.
Plastic meaning aluminum cans are better than plastic? I don't know.
Recycle.
Okay.
I guess more
Eco-friendly?
easy to recycle. Yeah. I don't know. We should look that up. Do a plug for Liquid Death. But
Liquid Death. Hey, they are not sponsoring us, but we would love to connect. Okay.
that's right.
You kind of skimmed over, Jeff, and we'll kind of skip around because I have squirrel brain. But to the personal aspect, and speaking of water, talking about physical fitness and how that kind of plays into mental clarity and ability to serve our families and our communities, etc. Share with me and our listeners, if you don't mind, a little bit about that personal journey.
Sure. Well, 2007 probably, I went to a health fair at our office, and our company's really good about promoting health and fitness and wellness, overall wellness and safety, of course. And we have these health fairs, or we have, and had to kind of pause those during the COVID time frame, but we're kind of slowly starting back on that. But I was at the health fair, and I guess I don't know if the nurse there took my blood pressure or what, and what other maybe I had my blood drawn, and they were reviewing it with me, and they kind of gave me the quote come to Jesus conversation, and I was like, yep, I need to do better. And so I got into mountain biking at the time, and I did that for a year or so, and then I got tired of it. Every time it would rain and be really wet, the trails are closed. You're not supposed to ride them because it gets them all rutted out and messed up, and it gets them in bad shape. And then I was like, man, I can't do anything. So I ended up buying a road bike, and I remember buying it from the guy I used in a parking lot of a little shopping center. And I had to ask him, I'm like, how do you shift the gears on this thing? I literally didn't know. And he showed me, and so I bought that road bike, and then I started road biking some, and then I did that for several years, and then I started running a little bit more. And one day I was walking out of church, and one of our friends looked at me and said, "Are you losing weight? Your pants look like they're falling off of you." And I turned around at some point and looked in the mirror, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. And so I had gone, at that point, I had gone from almost 200 pounds to about 180 or so. And then when I started running, I had gotten down to almost 170. And now I still do it because I enjoy it, because I know I need to. I need the stress relief. I need to take better care of myself. And, people ask me with my busy job in life, with work and family and everything else, how do you have time for that? And I tell them, I'm like, I have to do it. I mean, it actually makes me more effective in all the rest of the time that I use on all the other things in life. If I didn't spend time on that, I wouldn't be as efficient, as effective as maybe I am in all the other aspects of my life. So that's kind of the journey. Something I still enjoy doing, but don't get me wrong. Yesterday, I told my wife I was going to go run, and I said, I'm literally getting in the car one step at a time right now. I'm going to run one step at a time because I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. And, I just fight through it, and it takes a lot of discipline.
Do you run outside or on the treadmill?
I actually do absolutely nothing indoor. I cannot run on a treadmill. I can't do stationary bike. I will ride my bike in 15 degrees.
Wow.
Before I will do it indoors.
Inside, yeah.
Yep.
Well, the reason I asked is because I can run a lot further and faster on the treadmill at the gym than I can at the 5K and the boulder dash at Martin Marietta. Could put me on the pavement with some inclines and the humidity. Oh, it's a whole nother story. But interesting. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. I know you and I had a conversation about cycling once before.
Yeah.
That totally slipped my mind. What about you, Brock? What do you kind of do to stay nimble?
So I'm extremely passionate about fitness and nutrition and all that stuff. So my friends at work are going to laugh because you teed me up for this perfectly. They make fun of me like, oh, we're going to go out and eat Mexican food or something else. But I know Brock's not going to go, which I do have cheat days, and I do like to eat a lot of stuff. It's just got to be, what I've found is it's got to be sustainable. And so me personally, I've done keto, low carb, high carb. I've got 3 kids, married, it's got to be something that works for me and that I can kind of keep going with. But I love going to the gym. That's kind of my time. Just put on my earphones and get in there and lift. And I mean, you might not be able to tell I lift a lot, but I
looked like you struggled getting through the door on the way in. Actually.
Yeah, that door is heavy. So
I meant how broad you are.
So swole, Brock.
I did go this morning. So, but for me, it's really true that helps you be your best without getting into like self-help too much. It does help you be your best self, because I find that like if I challenge myself physically, then that helps me be more prepared to challenge myself mentally. And I always kind of say and joke with my friends, like my most important job is not at USI, it's being a dad and a husband. And so that keeping myself fit helps me keep up with my kids, coach them in soccer and baseball and have energy. So there's a lot of reasons I do it, but I truly enjoy it. I like eating healthy, and it makes me feel better. So
I don't like eating healthy. I try to though, but I don't like eating healthy. How about that?
You just got to find stuff you like and find good artificial sweeteners. Those are huge.
Do you do the monk fruit?
Monk fruit is really good.
Yeah.
Stevia is good. Monk fruit's good. And you can start to develop new tastes as you, like I went from sweet tea to unsweet tea.
Yep.
And
Same here.
Yeah, things like that. I know that's a sin in the South to say that. But
have you had these
Everyone here
Zevia sodas yet? Zevia?
I have not. I'm a big Celsius guy.
They're good, though. Finally found a good soda that you can enjoy, and it's actually good. It's Zevia.
Interesting.
I like
That's the brand name.
Okay. Yeah. Probably doing too much product placement here.
We're helping some people out.
We're trying to find
That's right.
anybody out
Let's
there
talk about
listening.
USI and Georgia Power.
That's right.
Let's do it. How could USI and Georgia Power work together? Well, ironically, when you walk through the door, we did find out, if I don't mind me sharing,
That's fine.
that Jeff is actually already a client. So that's
right.
exciting.
That's right. So, we've got 4 divisions. We've got a property and casualty division, the business insurance, commercial insurance, whatever you want to call it. That's what I do. We have employee benefits. So if you work for a company, your health insurance, dental insurance, vision, all of that. We've got a personal risk department, and that's what Jeff was referring to. So, we have a lot of different carriers and different options, and maybe some of the big box personal. There's a lot of good ones out there, but we've got access to a lot of them. And then we have a retirement 401k division. So there's a lot of ways. I mean, we can partner, whether it's individually, or on particular deals. I'm not sure how much construction they do, but we do obviously builder's risk and property insurance and stuff like that.
Ah, very nice.
Yeah, so what you spoke of earlier, I mean, certainly Georgia Power and Southern Company, Georgia Power is part of Southern Company. Mm-hmm. We have our benefits, contracts, et cetera. And as far as I know, it's not with USI. We have some certain, auto partnerships and life insurance partnerships and things like that. But
Sure.
I don't mind putting in a plug for USI here, because I'd met a good friend in the Paulding Chamber a while back, and he was, I don't know if his title was broker or whatever, or agent, whatnot for USI. But he and I were talking one day, and I said, hey, I'd love for you to look at my auto, home, and umbrella policy. And he did, and he came back with an outstanding proposal that actually increased my coverages. It was for the same cost or less. And I feel really, really good about where I sit today, knowing that I've got all my insurances in place properly. So plug for USI. And when I saw that you were going to be on with me today and it was USI and I didn't have your name yet, I thought about calling my friend and saying, hey, I got
Are you coming on
USI.
the show?
Yeah, like, is that you or what? But I knew he wasn't with USI anymore, so I didn't do that.
That's very kind. I did not pay Jeff to say that, by the way.
He will later, though.
That's right. That's right.
Well, it's
What's for
funny
lunch?
because I don't, not Mexican. Okay.
It's
Rock
actually my
will go.
favorite.
Here's another plug, Zalata or something.
Yeah,
over
that's
at
right.
Halcyon. He's going to buy me a
I
salad.
love that place.
It is good.
They have
Haven't been
Salad
yet.
Express down in Peachtree City, Georgia. Very similar concept, but I love it. You just go and get a humongous bowl of salad. You can load it up with as many veggies as you want. Pick your protein.
That sounds
like it.
great.
Okay.
I could dig that.
I interrupted your thought. I apologize. Were you going to piggyback on what Jeff said?
I think I was good. He was just mentioning just USI and what we offer, and that's great. That's what we want to hear. I mean, it's a relationship business. It is a relationship business, and make sure I'm on the mic here. We hope that service is something that people like, that we provide, and that we are a good consultant for folks. And a lot of times that's one way you can lose a client, by having poor service, right? So I'm glad to hear that. I appreciate the plug.
Very personal. So speaking of relationships, I know that I met Jeff in the marketplace. We were doing, was it an economic development meeting with the Forsyth Chamber?
Yes, that was the commercial real estate roundtable. I believe you and I were at.
Brock.
Wow.
We'll have to keep you plugged
You
in.
know, I didn't get that email. That's weird. I have to look back and see.
That's
Are
going
you
on
part
this
of
morning, as a matter of
Forsyth
fact.
Chamber?
Yeah, I've
Very
been
cool.
invited several times by our neighbor here next door. So
Join us sometime.
Yeah, okay. I'd love to.
I'd love that. Well, and also I know you're a high net worker as well, Brock. So talk a little bit about the importance, and either one of you jump in, of developing those sustainable relationships and how you kind of find the key people that you look to connect with through networks and through community involvement.
So I guess I'll start first. I like to give before I get or ask. And so one of the first things I always ask someone at an event, I'm involved with several different organizations, is what is a good referral for you? What's a good contact for you? I grew up here. I grew up in Roswell, but I went to elementary school here in Cumming when there was just a Pappy Reds and a Walmart off exit 14 back in the early 90s. So, but I love helping people and connecting the dots. And I might have several conversations with someone and we don't talk about insurance at all, workers' comp experience mods or property rates or any of that stuff. It's just, how can I help them? How can I be a resource to them and use my network to help them? A lot of times it is with other, salespeople or business development people. So that's kind of my approach to it. And so far it's been great. I mean, I've received so many opportunities work-wise from networking events and certainly personal too. Made a lot of great friends, and that's been a big part, I think, of my my success and my focus as far as from a marketing or prospecting standpoint. Because when you have networking, you have people introduce you. Nothing is really cold, so to speak. So I love it. I'm a huge proponent, and yeah.
And Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, extremely powerful. I guess as I've gotten older, I'm not giving away my age, but I have been with Georgia Power for almost 25 years at this point. But, the older I've gotten, the more I've seen it as an organic thing. It's not like a strategy to, hit a certain number of contacts anymore. It's truly about kind of coming out of the abundance, the blessing of all that I've been blessed to do and spaces that I'm able to operate in, and, try to adopt a practice of a good friend of mine in Cherokee. He always asks, is there anything I can do for you? And I don't quite have that down yet, but I try to do that. And, when you're just easy to reach and easy to do business with, and you just talk to people and, and all that, those years of business experience, how many times have I, maybe not treated somebody or kind of thought that someone was important, and then I found out later they were really important. And so I guess as I've gotten older and learned from those mistakes, everybody's important in and of themselves from just a personal value perspective, but you never know who you're talking to. And so just trying to slow down and talk and listen and just, connect people. That you mentioned, that connecting dots or people. And the thing, at the end of the day, the days that I go home and I feel like really, really energized, like I've had a great day, is when I have made some kind of really meaningful connection of two things or two people, or made something come together just because I was the connector. I didn't do anything but put something together, but it makes me feel really good when I have those opportunities to do that. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen, and that gives me a great sense of value. And so networking, though, is extremely important, and honestly, it just makes life more enjoyable.
It does.
It's like the idea of it's more fun to give than to receive, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
And both of you said that, that give before you get and they give back. So I like that. For those of you who are just joining us, our guests today are Jeff Butterworth with Georgia Power and also Brock Evans with USI. So speaking of give backs, gentlemen, I want to ask you what you personally do or what you do through your organizations in order to give back to the community or in order to keep up the morale, etc.
So I'm involved with a lot of stuff on behalf of Georgia Power. I'm on 7 boards, multiple chambers, multiple economic development organizations, Chattahoochee Technical College Foundation Board, and a couple others. And those kind of are a work, personal life blend in a lot of cases. And then outside of that, my wife and I just support a lot of the same causes, a lot of causes through our church, a lot of other causes in the community that are generally around foster kid space. We're not foster parents, but we've tried to adapt or adopt things that are important to us that are in the stage of life we were in. Our girls have gotten older; they're 18 and almost 21. But as they were growing up through the years, we tried to think about what would life be like for them if they were struggling with these things. So we kind of supported causes like that. One other thing that I really am proud of that's not an official board, but something that I'm part of in the community is something in Cherokee County, actually. But we bring together, myself and 3 other hosts, we intentionally bring together every quarter a diverse group of people, and we have zero agenda except for maybe an informative topic, but the whole purpose is to bring together a demographically diverse group of people just to create some sense of community, unity, and trust. There's no shortage of opportunities to champion your cause, whatever that may be, on probably polar opposites of some of the biggest issues of the day. But we've found that the folks that we each invite 2 guests apiece, and we have a breakfast and we fellowship, and folks have been really receptive and energized by just coming together and being one, without consternation or agendas. And so that's something that I'm really proud of, that I've been part of now for about the past year. Skipped over a lot of things there, but extremely involved in the community on behalf of Georgia Power. Mm-hmm. And then actually I'll mention one more thing. I'm monopolizing a lot of time, I know, but at Georgia Power we have what's called the Citizens of Georgia Power. And we have 39 chapters across the state and almost 3,000 members. And that is 100% employee-driven, volunteers creating their own projects, their own fundraisers. I've been involved in that since, the early 2000s. I've been a chapter president in Augusta with more than 100 member volunteers that I was able to lead with, multiple, a myriad of service projects over the years through Citizens of Georgia Power. It's a lot of causes. A great organization that impacts and touches a lot of causes.
I like the diverse group that you spearhead quarterly. Mm. That's a really good idea. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so far, that's the way it has felt, and that's what we want to keep.
Very nice. And same to you,
That's
Brock.
amazing. I should have gone first. That's hard to follow, honestly, Jeff. That's awesome. I love the diversity group because I think we're all so much more alike than we are different. Social media might tell you otherwise sometimes, but you get people in person, and you find there's a lot more similarities across any demographic data point that you would want to look at. So that's really cool. For me personally, my wife and I are very involved in our church. We serve there in the student ministry. I mentioned earlier I've been involved with our church network of churches for many years as a musician. We're small group leaders for a married small group, so we're definitely very involved there. USI specifically, we have a program called USI Gives Back, and so that's kind of our big focus. So we do choose, each region chooses a different nonprofit to kind of support monthly, and then we actually, from a national standpoint, get a free PTO paid day off to volunteer somewhere once a year, and there's even more available if you want to do that. But there's at least the expectation, hey, at least knock out of work one day and volunteer somewhere. So most recently, we were at the Atlanta Humane Society. So it wasn't in Forsyth County. It was in Alpharetta technically, but pretty close. And that was really cool to come together and learn more about what they do. So giving back is really important. We support a lot of nonprofits via financial support, also sponsoring golf tournaments and events and things of that nature. So it's very important to me personally and also to USI.
Great core values in both of your organizations and also within you too, as gentlemen who are also husbands and fathers. So I'm sure that you're instilling that same value within your children. We're going to flip to a little bit of a personal note here. And you mentioned that you guys both were dads. So do share how many kids, age range, etc.
Absolutely. So I always, we were talking about this earlier. This is my most important job. I love what I do at USI, but being a husband and father, that's something only I can do. No one else can do that. If I left USI, they could find another Brock to go out and sell insurance. But I do have 3 kids. They are 12, 10, and 6. We have 2 girls and a boy. We're just down the road. This was the easiest commute I've ever had in my life. So this was really close. But they're involved in soccer, drama, baseball, you name it. I think at this point we have something every day of the week, including weekends.
Wow.
So it's very busy.
Yeah.
And so my wife's a rock star and helps get everybody where they need to go, and in the midst of doing her job during the day as well. So I love being a dad. I was an only child, and I always wanted a big family, and so 3 felt like a good number. And I potentially could have kept going, but we felt like, hey, we've got 3 healthy kids. Let's count our blessings and be happy. But they're awesome. I'm their biggest fan, and blessed to be their dad, and blessed to be the husband to my wife.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier I have 2 daughters, 18, and the other will be 21 in a month and a day. And my wife, Kelly, am I supposed to mention names on here?
It's okay.
Won't mention the kids' names. But, Kelly and I have been married almost 25 years. So I often say I've been married to my wife and Georgia Power both for almost 25 years. Yeah. And matter of fact, my wife and I are trying to figure out what the heck we're going to do about 25th anniversary, because we actually took our girls to Hawaii in July. So we had a big vacation this year. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to figure something else out now. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Obviously, being husband and dad are definitely the most important job I have. I probably don't do that as well as you do. I don't focus on it as well as you do. Our girls, my 21-year-old, almost 21-year-old is at Georgia College in Milledgeville, and she is ahead because she dual enrolled, and so she's going to have her bachelor's degree in a year, and then she's probably going down the physician's assistant path, PA. And then my youngest has just started Kennesaw State and kind of trying to figure it out. So we're my wife and I are in that kind of, it's feeling like empty nest, which is nice. Mm-hmm. It is nice. People talk about their 2 and 5-year-olds, or their 13 and 10, whatever ages you said. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yep, enjoy it while it lasts. I mean, those are fun years. Yes, they're hard, but they're more hard on an energy level. I think it takes a lot of physical energy when your kids get the age, upper age like mine. It's more stress energy, I think, but it's all good. We look forward to the future.
Absolutely.
I didn't start drinking coffee until I had kids. I'll just put that out there.
I'm glad you specified coffee.
And now And now I drink a lot of coffee throughout the day, but you're exactly right. And that's why it's so important, obviously with your marriage relationship, to continue to foster that, because at some point the kids will be out of there and you still have to be friends and want to hang out with each other, right? So
absolutely.
Speaking of which, as you guys are such great parents, that means to me that maybe you've had some influential people in your world as well, aside from your own fathers or mothers or a relative. Who would you say who's been kind of helpful in making you the person that you are today? Maybe a mentor or somebody that was highly influential in your world that paved the way.
Wasn't expecting that question, so I'm actually
curveball.
Thinking about not that we got all the questions
right.
by any means. We didn't get any of them for that matter, but this one I hadn't really kind of thought about. In professional life, I've had a number of mentors over the years that were sort of assigned through specific programs at Georgia Power, leadership programs, and they have been extremely important to me as I've grown in the company to just share with me, maybe in a hard time or a frustrating time, just keep your head up, keep doing what you're doing. And when they said keep your head up, they meant, feel good about yourself, stay positive. And then there have been times that I've been told, keep your head down and do your job, do it well, keep doing it well. Those kinds of things over the years from professional mentors. From a personal perspective, I had good parents that took care of me, took me to all of my ball games, provided for me and all that. I'm not glazing over them by any means, but I think about my grandparents a lot and just what they meant to me. I had all 4 of them, the 2 on each side, and they were such just hard workers and, really had a very steady, calm hand. As I got older, maybe when we were off to the side, they might have expressed some frustration to me, but I saw how they just kind of took things in stride and tried to stay positive and faithful and all those kinds of things. And so they were certainly big influences in my life as well. And then other than that, there have just been friends that I had growing up, that were just incredibly hard workers, and I just saw how certain ones, like, they could just do anything. And so I was with them a lot. And so I just kind of felt like I can do anything. And my dad always a do-it-yourselfer, and so he's way better at it today even than I am now, but I learned a lot, and I do almost everything myself around the house. And so it's just stuff like that kind of has impacted who I am, and folks that even from, spiritual angle that, talked a lot about doing your very best, and that has resonated with me for a long time now.
And Brock?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's a bunch of them, and I would be afraid to leave anybody out, but certainly starting with my parents. I have awesome, supportive parents that have supported me through college and through pursuing being a musician for many years full time, which is a whole separate topic we could talk about. But I would say certainly my parents, my stepdad has been a huge influence in my life, and there's several people that have passed that I would put in this category as well. My grandpa, who died earlier, I guess about 6-7 years ago. He was 93. He was in World War II and was a farmer and taught me to work hard and take care of my family. And one of the coolest things he told before he passed, he told my wife and I, he's like, I think you guys have a chance to have what he and my grandma had, and they were married for over 60 years. And so that really meant a lot. That was cool. So I'm still continue to be super inspired by him. I had a couple aunts that I would say that, my actual aunts, and also someone that was like an adopted aunt who's passed from a more of a spiritual and personal development side. Certainly there's been a lot of youth leaders and church leaders that have poured into me and that have really spoken truth into my life. And I really like, sometimes I'm such a positive person, but sometimes I need to hear that critical feedback too. I think when someone really cares about you, they're going to tell you hey, you may not realize this blind spot in your, whether it's professional, personal life. And so here's something, because I care about you, I'm not just going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. And so there's a number of people that have been like that too. Still very close with all my high school buddies. We have a group text that has, hundreds of texts a day. So certainly inspired by all of them. I mentioned a lot of people, certainly my wife and my kids on a daily basis.
Of course. Well, you guys are very fortunate to have had those grandparent influences. All my grandparents passed before I had a chance to really get to know them, or before I was even on this earth. So I admire the fact that you had all four of yours, Jeff, and then you had a great relationship with yours, Brock.
That's right. All mine are still alive, other than my one grandpa I mentioned. So very fortunate to still have them at the age I am. So.
And your kids have great grandparents. That's
they
exciting.
do. It's really awesome. Mm-hmm. So I don't take that for granted, because my grandparents were relatively young when my parents were born. So at the age I'm approaching, to still have most of my grandparents, I feel very fortunate. Very
fortunate. Hey, I wanted to give you a chance really quickly before it slips my mind. Anybody that's out there listening that might like to get in touch with you to learn more about USI or your services, send your information.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's usi.com. My email is pretty simple. It's just my first name, brock.evans@usi.com. And what I would say is we've got a lot of partners as well, not just in the insurance space, but in construction or restoration or claims management, whatever. If you have anything insurance related, there's a chance it may not even be in my wheelhouse, but I would love to connect you with someone within USI first, and then if not, someone external that can help you. So glad to be a resource however I can, but it's brock.evans@usi.com. Or my phone number. Is that listed, or should I say that?
You can say it.
Sure. 404-455-6904. That's my cell. Please don't text me too late at night, though. I put it on Do Not Disturb, so.
And Jeff's cell phone number is... No, I'm just teasing.
I just learned from your mistake, Brock.
Hey, that's okay.
If you feel it beneficial to share your information, you're welcome to.
You can always block someone.
Also.
I appreciate the opportunity. I mean,
absolutely.
Being the 24/7 business that we are, it is not a good thing for me to provide my direct contact, because there's no way I can, serve everybody personally. We're available 24/7. Check us out on GeorgiaPower.com. Check out our Georgia Power app. If you need us, you call our 1-800 number. We have multiple for different reasons, but one that you can absolutely reach us at 24/7 and get you to the right place is 888-660-5890, and we have there, obviously, people there 24/7 to assist you. But if somebody really wants to find me, if you just something about today, or you'd like to speak with me, you can look me up on the Forsyth Chamber website and send a message through their site, and I will respond accordingly.
I like that. Shout out to our great Forsyth County Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely. Best in the business.
Best in the business. Well, as I told you that the time would pass very quickly, and we are right here at about 40 minutes. So I'm going to give you a chance to share any final thoughts or parting words if there's something that you wanted to express that we didn't get to touch on. I know we didn't get to go into your rock band days. Brock, we'll have to have you back on for another show.
I'll bring pictures for when I had long hair, but
oh, I have to see those. Any words of encouragement you'd like to leave with our listeners?
Sure. This is Forsyth Business Radio, and I would just say that, man, Forsyth has everything everybody could want in a community in terms of amenities and resources and attracting business here and living here, and the live, work, play is all here. What a great community. What potential this community still has. I congratulate all that have been involved to this point for what has this has become here, but also all the leaders that I know and that I'm involved with as well, very much so in helping, figure out and plan and be involved in whatever way I can. I mean, by no means do I take any credit at this point, but trying to listen and see how I can be of service as well. But I congratulate all the folks that are working to make Forsyth the best county that it can possibly be, and of course, coming as well, being part of Forsyth. I just I think about the times that we're in and just kind of the way things are. And, I just have a passion and burden for everybody kind of just, and I know it's easy to say coming together, but we're never going to agree on the most polarizing issues in life. You can just name those right now and you know what they are. We're never going to agree on those. And so we have to figure out how to disagree without being disagreeable and, not be hateful, be more accepting of each other. And by no means do I have this all perfect myself. It's a place that I'm still growing in. But if I have the opportunity of a microphone right now, and I do, I just want to put out there, let's tamp it down a little bit. Let's debate, let's vote, let's advocate for our causes, but let's come together. We should still be able to have a cup of coffee, fellowship, enjoy each other's company. Calm down a little bit. Let somebody in traffic. Don't go so fast. All those things. We can make this place better in and of ourselves, and we can do that one person at a time.
Is tamp it a baseball term? Is
no.
That what they do to the
Do you know
mound?
what a tamper is? It's
that's what I thought they do with the pitcher's mound.
Oh,
they
maybe.
tamp down the.
Maybe I don't know if I've ever, but a tamper is
go
like a heavy, shovel looking tool, but it's flat and you can like pound down the ground. It's just kind of tamp it down. Take it down a notch is really all that's.
I wrote that down. Tamp it. Into you, Rock.
I love that. That's, again, extremely hard to follow, but that was really strong. I love Forsyth County, lived here, like I said, many years, and even though I grew up in Roswell, I went to school up here. My mom was a teacher. She opened many of the schools up here and taught at several that y'all would be familiar with. I'm just excited to see the growth economically, but also population-wise, as far as the diversity too. To your point, there's people that may not look like you and me or believe the exact same things, but I love that we can all be hanging out at the gym together or hanging out at Starbucks together, and again, find there's so much more common ground than not. And so I would definitely say that from just a perspective of what you were talking about, just to show people grace. You never really know what someone's going through. And so, using the mask as an example, you could say, well, if you have one, you believe this. If you don't have one, you don't believe this, but you don't know who they might have at home, who they're protecting, just to try to give people some grace and maybe not try to assume too much. My wife and I call it API, assume positive intent. And so that's a good one that I try to put, especially when in our email world, right? You could easily read an email the wrong way. So I try to start by assuming positive intent really with anything in life until maybe they prove otherwise. But again, his closing remarks were awesome. And, thank you so much for having us.
Of course.
Thanks. It's been great.
My pleasure. Well, for all of you listening out there, if you'd like to enjoy these shows, they are available 24/7 online at businessradiox.com. Simply select the Forsyth Studio, but more easily you can just listen on iTunes or Spotify or Pandora or wherever you listen. Where do you listen to podcasts?
Oh gosh. SoundCloud probably is my number one.
Okay.
A lot of college football myself. So
on there?
I guess I use the Apple podcast
That's
app.
what everyone's like. the one that came preloaded on my phone.
The one on my phone.
Yep.
That's right.
That's okay.
And also, I think that Android users tend to use Spotify a lot. So I'm thankful I'm an Apple user myself as well. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us. And again, today we were joined in studio by Jeff Butterworth and also Brock Evans. And I am your host, Amanda Pirch, and I look forward to chatting with you guys next time. And until then, have a fantastic day.